Oneiros managed to get some rest in Delphi and now continue his adventure searching for the source of the monsters. Starting at the Parnassus foothills, Oneiros plows through groups of arachnids who can not only carry a Deathweaver's leg tip, but also Deathweaver's armor, which are monster infrequents as well. And I'm telling you this because not far from Delphi there is suddenly a Deathweaver's chitin lying on the floor. It does have a bit more armor than the Outrider's tunic, but overall I like the tunic better than the new chitin. I'll still show all the monster infrequents that Oneiros gets, same goes for all formulas and epic items. With that being said, we can enter the Panasos Caves. And in these caves there are more arachnids, and with more arachnids there is more Deathweaver's equipment. A second Deathweaver's leg tip, which deals less damage but has a chance of confusing the enemies, is what we get from this group of spiders. And since apparently these monster infrequents are rather monster frequents with the arachnids, another Deathweaver's chitin drops in the Panasos Cave. Then we go ahead and kill the Boarman Kefaris for the quest The Grieving Widow. He can deal decent damage and has a fire spell, but overall this fight was still no challenge. Now we've had 2 monster infrequents in the Panasos Cave already, but I can tell you, it gets even better. An inconspicuous bone pile turns out to be the main storage of all Parnassus monsters, as it exposes the Aegis of Laconia and the Oath Ring. And while we lose some health regeneration with the Aegis of Laconia, the potential to block more damage and the superior aesthetics is enough for me to switch to it. The Oath Ring is just simply much better than the Band of Endurance, especially the stun resistance is very helpful in specific scenarios. A little side note, Oneiros' pierce resistance now sits at a comfortable 42%, which is reassuring for the upcoming fight against the Gorgons.
Not enough energy.
Oneiros exits the Parnassus and I'll keep very fond memories of this cave. Then it is hero monster time again as we kill Turgok's Mancatcher in a cave just outside the Parnassus. I don't think that he was able to maximize his potential as Oneiros managed to dodge the web that he shot and quickly drained his energy. Then there's Lysia Spellbreaker, and she's got an ability that I hate. Spellbreaker, because it breaks spells, like the Chance of Empathy, and disrupts all abilities for a short time. That behavior can only be explained with a phase of teenage rebellion, and as it turns out, Lysia drops the diary of a teenage Maynard. It is one of many Easter egg letters that you can find. It doesn't give you any benefits, but most of them are quite funny to read. I'll do that at the end of this episode though, since they can be quite long, and I don't want to break the flow of the video. Not far from Lysia there is another hero monster who goes by the name Beastman Archer number 783. Oneiros still uses the same strategy as with almost every hero monster thus far, killing his friends, singling him out and taking him down with ease. And this Beastman Archer also held a letter, fittingly named Letter from Beastman Archer number 783. We'll come to that one later. As we enter the upper war camp, we find Rockbone, who always appears here. His minions go down right away, and he isn't a tough opponent either. However, in the upper war camp there is also a hero called Xerxes the Betrayer, and while he seems slow and tame, as soon as he gets close to Oneiros he shows his might. He can stun Oneiros and his damage output is quite high, and defensively he definitely packs a punch. And yes, I should have prepared another weapon for these undead ghosts, because poison damage doesn't tickle them in the slightest. I have sped up the fight, because it took me over a minute to bring him down. Just after the fight there is another epic item waiting for us in an all-8 chest. The Labyrinthine Greaves. I'd love to collect and use some set items, so let's hope for some more lucky drops in the future. The Greaves are much better than the reinforced leggings Oneiros used up until now, so even without any other items from the Labyrinthine Warsuit, the Greaves are equipped right away. Just in time for the next hero fight, as Thrydar's Dark Soul is waiting for Oneiros. He is also an undead ghost, so we are yet again looking at an annoyingly long fight. So it is once again time for a speed up. Just before we are done with the upper war camp, there is one final majestic chest, and as fortune is with us in this segment, we actually get a second item from the Labyrinthine Warsuit. Labyrinthine Greaves. Unfortunately, last time I checked, Oneiros isn't a centaur, so we can't equip 2 sets of Greaves. I was inclined to put them onto his arms, but Oneiros politely refused. Now it is time for the grand final of this episode. The fight against the Gorgons. And I know that there's a trick for this fight. If you approach them from the right side, you can get Uriel to attack you and get her away from her friends. But I chose to do this fight just as a normal player would do it. So Oneiros opens up with Distort Reality before focusing Uriel. She's the one that can heal the others and is therefore the high priority target. Oneiros stays mobile, dodges Medusa's eyes that can turn him into stone, and attacks Uriel mainly with his skills. After Uriel gave up, Steno is next. She has the higher damage output and is therefore more threatening than Medusa, and it is much easier to evade Medusa's attacks than Steno's attacks. And after she's down, it is Medusa's turn to die. She can't do too much on her own. Her death then releases Phaon, whose rescue gets Oneiros to level 15.
I can't believe I let those Gorgons get...
And this would be the end of the episode, but I still have 2 letters to read out to you. So I'll show the way through the Pythian Caves, which won't be too interesting, and read them now. Let's start with something morally questionable and read the diary of a teenager. You won't believe this, but my hero came this way again, and guess what? He killed the stupid sorceress first again! I'm so tired of being ignored. Am I not pretty enough for him? He's so stupid. Cat says there are plenty of fish in the sea, but what does food have to do with anything? How can I eat when I'm in love? I wish he'd pay attention to me. Maybe if I carried a better bow? I know a couple months ago he went right for stupid Susan when she had the dumb flaming spear. But do I really want a guy that's just going to pay attention to me for my loot? What about my needs? Boys are so stupid. Now to the letter from Beastman Archer number 783. Dear Mom, it has been 6 weeks since Hero Boy came this way. Susan has been making eyes at me, and I have to admit that I find her quite charming. To be frank, this might partially be because she's the only female setter I've seen yet in these parts. On that note, it's appalling to see this kind of rampant sexism within the ranks of the Beastman army. I'm sure that there are plenty of qualified women setters who would like a shot at military service. Heck, even the name of the organization is sexist. I'm sure the Maenads don't appreciate being a part of the Beastman army. As such, I've begun lobbying for a more inclusive name, but have yet to decide on something more suitable. Beast Person Army? Beast People Corps? So far my efforts have been met with derision, but I'm confident that I will bring the brass around. They can't afford a lawsuit with all the money they've lost from Hero Boy opening our chest and stealing all our gold. I have to go now. Our scouts saw Hero Boy coming on the horizon. Again, thanks for the care package. You have no idea how much our guys appreciated the cookies and body armor. Sincerely, Mark, aka Beastman Archer number 783.